Hello students, welcome to this session of previous year question analysis from Environment and Ecology. We know that syllabus and previous year questions are lighthouses for any student because they guide us towards our success. So in this session, we'll be discussing about previous year questions from Environment and Ecology. Before we start our discussion of previous year questions, let us discuss what are the topics that we have to highlight during the discussion of previous year questions. And in order to do so, we can take the help of our syllabus. So let us start with the topics first. So if we analyze or if we go through previous year questions, then we will find that the previous year questions are from 6 topics. So those topics are: first, environmental ecology. Second is biodiversity and conservation. Second topic on which questions are asked is biodiversity and conservation. The third topic on which UPSC asks question in its prelims examination is climate change. Climate change. So if you notice previous year questions from these topics, you will find that questions from environmental ecology are quite static in nature because this is a branch of geography, and in this question are quite static. The questions that are asked are quite static. But the questions from biodiversity and conservation as well as from climate change are dynamic in nature. That means the focus is on current affairs, right? Moreover, if you see the syllabus of UPSC's prelims examination, then in the syllabus they have mentioned about the environment, and in the syllabus they have mentioned about environmental ecology, biodiversity and climate change. So these 3 topics are mentioned in the prelim syllabus, but we should not restrict our study to these topics only, because previous year questions go beyond these 3 topics. Previous year questions are also asked from 4th topic is pollution and land degradation. Pollution and land degradation. Right? So this is mentioned in the mains syllabus, but still questions are asked from pollution topic in the prelims examination as well. Moreover, questions are also asked from the environmental laws. The environmental laws like Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Environment Protection Act 1986, Biodiversity Conservation Act 2002 and so on, right? So these are the 5 topics on which UPSC generally asks questions in the prelims examination. So in this session, as we are discussing about previous year questions, what we will do, we will also try to discuss previous year questions on these 5 topics. That means we will make sure that we discuss, let's say, ecology questions in this session, so that in the next session we may start our discussion with the biodiversity questions. Whatever questions that UPSC has asked from ecology, we will try to discuss in this session. That means from 2010 to 2020, whatever ecology questions that has been asked by UPSC will be discussed in this session. In the next session, we'll make sure that biodiversity questions are discussed, right? So I hope you have understood the way in which we will be discussing the previous year questions. We'll be discussing previous year questions topic wise, right? And the first topic of previous year questions that we will be discussing is ecology. So let us start with first question. So first question is from 2010, right? First question is from 2010. And the question is, from the point of view of evolution of living organisms, which one of the following is the correct sequence of evolution, right? So what they are asking us a correct sequence of evolution, right? So the options that they have given are like A, otter, followed by tortoise, then shark. B, shark, tortoise and otter. C, tortoise, shark and otter. And D, shark, otter and tortoise. So this question is about the evolution of living beings. The evolution of living beings have followed a certain order, and that order is, firstly, in the evolution process, single cell animals, single cellular living organisms evolved, followed by evolution of multicellular organisms, right? So firstly it is single cellular organisms, then multicellular organisms, then fishes, then amphibians, then reptiles, birds, and finally mammals have evolved, right? So the order of evolution is this: single cell animals or single cell living organisms, followed by multicellular living organisms, then fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and then finally mammals. And in this question, they have given us 3 animal species. First is otter, second is shark, and third is tortoise, right? So out of these 3, otters are mammals. Otters are mammals, and that's why in the order of evolution, they must have evolved after shark and tortoise, right? So if we go back to the question, then we can say that otter, as they have evolved towards the end, we can easily eliminate option A and option D, because in option A and D, it is shark and tortoise that has been given as the animal species that has evolved at the last. But that is not the case, because otters are mammals and they have evolved towards the end, right? Now we are left with shark and tortoise. Out of this, shark is a fish, and that's why in the order of evolution, we have discussed that fishes have evolved before amphibians, and that's why first choice should be shark. Out of these organisms, sharks have evolved at the first instance, right? So it is in the option B that they have given shark as the animal species which has evolved at the first, followed by tortoise and then otter, right? So we are left with only option number B, because it is shark, which are fishes that have evolved at the first time, followed by evolution of amphibians like tortoise, and then mammals like otter, right? So for this question, correct answer is B, right? So I hope you have understood this question. Answer for this question is B. So this is the discussion. You can go through this discussion. So this is the order of evolution. We have discussed that otters are mammal, and that's why they must have evolved at the last. That means after shark and tortoise. Similarly, tortoise are reptiles and they evolved after fish, shark, but before otter. Sharks are fishes, that's why they must have evolved at the first instance. And hence, correct order is shark, tortoise and otter, and hence our answer is B. Right? Next question now. Next question is from 2010 again, and the question is, a pesticide which is a chlorinated hydrocarbon is sprayed on a food crop. The food chain is food crop. So this is the food chain: food crop, followed by rat, followed by snake, and towards end it is hawk. In this food chain, the highest concentration of the pesticide would accumulate in which one of the following, right? So the pesticide that was sprayed is chlorinated hydrocarbon, and this pesticide was sprayed on the food crop. As food crop is eaten up by rat, that pesticide which is sprayed on food crop will accumulate in the body of rat. As snakes eat rat, from rat that pesticide will be transferred to the snake, and as hawk eat snake, pesticide will be transferred towards hawk, right? So we have to identify in this particular food chain in which organism the concentration of this pesticide, that means chlorinated hydrocarbon, will be highest. So this particular question is related to two very important questions in the ecology, and they are bioaccumulation. They are bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Right? So this question is related to these two concepts. What is bioaccumulation? Bioaccumulation is a term used for increase in the concentration of a particular pollutant inside the body of an organism, and when the concentration of that pollutant is more than the environmental concentration of the similar pollutant, we can say that bioaccumulation has occurred, right? So bioaccumulation is increase in the concentration in the body compared to the environment, right? So that is bioaccumulation, and this process of bioaccumulation occur over a period of time. Second concept is biomagnification. Biomagnification is increase in the concentration of pollutant as they are transferred from one particular organism to other organism in a food chain. And this question it has given us a food chain, and that's why this question is related to biomagnification, right? Increase in the concentration of a pollutant as it is transferred from one organism to another organism in a particular food chain. And the highest concentration of that particular pollutant will always be found in the highest trophic level. And in this case, that highest trophic level is of hawk. And that's why highest accumulation will be seen in the hawk. And that's why answer for this question is D. Right? So answer is D, hawk. So in order to explain bioaccumulation and biomagnification, let me take help of this particular diagram. So first part of this diagram is related to bioaccumulation, wherein you can see that the contaminant, which is marked by this blue ink, the contaminant is increasing over a period of time, right? So the concentration of contaminant is increasing over a period of time inside the body of an organism, and this concentration is higher than the concentration of the contaminant in the environment, right? But on the other hand, this second half of this diagram is about biomagnification. And you can see that the biomagnification, so this is a particular food chain. In the initial organism, the concentration of contaminant is quite small. Then at the second trophic level, concentration has increased. At the third trophic level, concentration has increased further. And at the fourth trophic level, the concentration is highest. And that's why in any food chain, concentration of a contaminant will be seen highest at the topmost trophic level. And in the question that they have given, hawk is the animal species, or it is the species which is at the topmost trophic level, and hence in hawk we will have highest concentration of that contaminant, right? So answer for this question is D, hawk. Now next question from ecology section is from 2011 paper. So let us discuss this question. The surface of a lake is frozen in severe winter, right? So we know that in severe winter, surface of a lake water body gets freeze. But the water at its bottom is still liquid. Bottom water is still liquid, though the surface water has frozen. What is the reason behind this? Why this happens? Why surface water is frozen and the water at the bottom still remains in the liquid state? So the main reason for this is the phenomenon associated with water, and that phenomenon is, we generally know that whenever there is a decrease in the temperature, density decreases. So for most of the fluids, this is true. Decrease in the temperature followed is related to increase in the density. As we decrease the temperature of a particular liquid, its density increases, right? But for water, this phenomenon of decrease in the temperature and increase in the density is true up to only 4 degrees Celsius. That means the density of water will be highest at 4 degrees Celsius. And if we try to reduce the temperature of water beyond 4 degrees Celsius, then let's say we have reduced the temperature at 0 degrees Celsius. Then at 0 degrees Celsius, the density of water will be lower compared to density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. And that's why the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is highest. And if density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is highest, that means it will be a heavier water. And that's why it will sink below, or it will sink at the bottom of a lake body, right? Right? So the heavier water is at the bottom, which is at 4 degrees Celsius. But the surface water, which is in contact with the air in winters, air is cold air. And as a result of that cold air, the water which is in contact with that cold air starts freezing, right? So the surface water freezes, but water at the bottom remains in the liquid state. It is the result of a special phenomenon shown by water, and that phenomenon is the density of water is highest at 4 degrees Celsius. If we try to reduce the temperature of water beyond or below 4 degrees Celsius, then density decreases. It does not increase. That means it is highest at the 4 degrees Celsius. And hence, for this particular phenomenon, reason is the density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. Correct answer is C. Right? So we can read this explanation. Normally for any liquid, with decrease in temperature, density increases. So this is very important. With decrease in temperature, density increases. And this is true for water as well. But only difference is that this statement is true for water only till 4 degrees Celsius. But for water, this is true up to 4 degrees Celsius. That is, below 4 degrees Celsius, density of water starts decreasing. So this water with high density, that means which is at the 4 degrees Celsius, sinks below water with lower density. That means water at less than 4 degrees Celsius. And as a result of this, the water at the bottom remains in the liquid state and water at the surface of a lake body freezes, right? So this is the answer. Answer is C. Maximum density of water is seen at 4 degrees Celsius, as a result of which the lake bottom remains in the liquid state. Next question now. So next question again from ecology section. Consider the following statements. First statement is biodiversity is normally greater in the lower latitudes as compared to higher latitudes, right? So the biodiversity is lower at the, biodiversity is greater at the lower latitudes compared to higher latitudes. So this statement is correct statement, because at the lower latitudes, the conditions for the growth of biodiversity or conditions for the growth of plants and other organisms are favorable, because at the lower latitudes we have sufficient availability of rainfall. Also, the temperatures are moderate in this particular latitude, and hence the biodiversity grows faster in the lower latitudes, and that's why the lower latitudes have greater biodiversity compared to higher latitudes. At the higher latitudes, the rainfall decreases. That means there is a scarcity of water. Similarly, at higher latitudes, the temperatures are low temperatures, and these conditions may not be very favorable for the growth of biodiversity. And that's why higher latitudes have biodiversity which is a bit less than lower latitudes, and hence first statement is correct statement. Second statement is, along the mountain gradients, biodiversity is normally greater in the lower altitude as compared to higher altitudes. So you must have seen mountains. So mountains generally have ice at the summits of the mountain. That means at the highest altitude of that particular mountain, we may have the presence of ice. That means conditions are colder at that particular location, right? So if conditions go on becoming harsh for the growth of life, obviously at the higher altitudes, we will have lesser biodiversity compared to lower altitudes where conditions may be favorable, right? And that is the reason why at the lower altitudes of mountains, we have high biodiversity compared to higher altitudes of mountains, right? So even second statement is a correct statement. And that's why answer for this question is C, both 1 and 2, right? So both these statements are true, because biodiversity will be highest in the lower altitudes, lower latitudes, and biodiversity is also greater at the lower altitudes of mountains, right? So both these statements are correct statements, and that's why answer is C, right? So next question now. Next question is, biodiversity forms the basis of human existence in the following ways. First, soil formation. Second, prevention of soil erosion. Third, recycling of waste. Fourth, pollination of crops. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So we are supposed to find out what exactly are the services that human beings receive from biodiversity, right? So this question is related to the biodiversity services. This question is related to biodiversity services. So what are these services? These are goods and services. These are biodiversity services are goods and services that we human beings receive from biodiversity, right? So first is soil formation. Is it a biodiversity service? Yes. Soil formation is one of the biodiversity service, and it is the base of human existence, because whatever food we eat, that grows in the soil. So soil formation is one of the important service that we receive from biodiversity. Second is prevention of soil erosion. Is it important for human existence? Yes, it is important for human existence, because again, agricultural crops will be able to grow in a proper manner if there is a presence of soil. And soil can be present in a particular area if we or biodiversity is able to prevent soil erosion. And that's why second statement is also a correct statement. Third is recycling of waste. So we know that, let's say vultures. So vultures are considered as best scavengers in the nature, because they clear the carcasses of animals. And as they are clearing the carcasses of animals, they are helping in the human existence, because without the service of vultures, in which they clear the carcasses of animals, if this service is not provided by vultures, then there may be a condition when the carcasses will lie in the nature and they will lead to spread of various kind of diseases, right? So third statement is also correct, because it is very essential for us to live in this nature, that the waste generated in the nature is getting recycled. Fourth is pollination of crops. So this is also a important service that we receive from biodiversity, because without pollination of crops, we won't be able to ensure food security, right? So all these four are correct with respect to the services that human beings receive from biodiversity. And all these four services are important for human existence. And hence, correct answer of this question is D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right? So I hope you have understood this question. So you can go through this explanation. So statement 1 is correct, because with soil formation, which is the important role of biodiversity, we are able to produce our food material, right? Similarly, soil erosion is prevented by the nature, and that is one of the important service that we get from nature. Dead organic matter is recycled by microorganisms, and this recycling of dead organic matter ensures that the nutrients which are used by those animal or plants earlier before their death are recycled back into the nature, right? So third statement is also correct. Fourth is about pollination. So we have discussed that pollination is important for ensuring food security. So all these statements are correct, and hence answer is D. Next question now. Next question is, in the context of ecosystem productivity, marine upwelling zones are important as they increase the marine productivity by bringing the first, decomposer microorganisms to the surface. Second, nutrients to the surface. Third, bottom dwelling organisms to the surface, right? So the question is about the upwelling. So what exactly happens during upwelling? So we know that wind blow over the surface of oceans, and as this wind blow over the surface of ocean, it displaces water present at the surface of the ocean. And as this water is displaced by the wind, bottom water try to take place of this displaced water. And this phenomenon, which occurs in marine ecosystem, is known as upwelling, where the bottom water takes the place of water displaced by winds, right? So what happens during upwelling? During upwelling, the nutrients which are present at the bottom of, let's say, ocean body are recycled, or they are taken to the surface of ocean, and hence with the availability of nutrient there is more growth of phytoplanktons, and if phytoplanktons are growing more, obviously there will be high productivity of those upwelling zones, which is mentioned in the question, right? So what happens exactly in the upwelling? Upwelling leads to increase in the nutrient availability at the surface, right? So first statement is decomposer or microorganisms to the surface. So decomposer microorganisms are not the organisms that are brought up by the upwelling water. So first statement is incorrect. Third statement is bottom dwelling organisms are brought to the surface. Again, this is not correct. Even if it is correct, even if bottom dwelling organisms are brought to the surface, they do not lead to increase in the productivity of that marine ecosystem. And that's why correct answer is B, 2 only, because upwelling ensures availability of nutrients at the surface of the marine ecosystem, right? So the correct answer is B, 2 only, right? So this is the question. Now let us discuss the next question. If a tropical rainforest is removed, so hypothetical condition is being given by the UPSC. If a tropical rainforest is removed, it does not regenerate quickly as compared to a tropical deciduous forest. This is because, so what condition has been given? They are saying that if because of some reason the tropical rainforest which occurs in the equatorial belt, if that rainforest is removed, then for its regeneration it will take longer time compared to tropical deciduous forest. Why? So the tropical rainforest or the equatorial belt is the location where we have high amount of rainfall, right? So at that particular location, it rains almost daily, right? So as a result of this high rainfall, the nutrients that are present in soil are leached. They are removed. And as a result of this removal of nutrients from soil, the soil becomes less or infertile soil. Soil becomes infertile. Why? Because high rainfall leads to removal of nutrients from that soil. And hence, if soil is infertile in nature, then the plant species will obviously take longer time to regenerate if they are removed from that particular location, right? So this happens because the soil in rainforest is deficient in nutrients, right? So this is the correct answer for this question. But we will discuss other options also. So option B is, so correct answer is A, but we will discuss other options as well. So let us discuss option B. Propagules of the trees in a rainforest have poor viability. See, propagules are the vegetative part which may lead to formation of a new plant, right? So even if propagules are available in the tropical rainforest, the soil is infertile. So it is not about the propagules, but it is about the soil, and hence option B is incorrect. C, the rainforest species are slow growing. So again, this is incorrect because it is not about the plant species, but it is about the soil nutrients. Option D, exotic species invade the fertile soil of rainforest. So there is no question of exotic species invading the soil of rainforest, because exotic species also won't be able to grow at a faster rate in the rainforest if the soil of rainforest is deprived of nutrients, right? So even option D is incorrect. And that's why correct answer for this question is A. Now, next question. So the next question is from 2012. Question is, the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment describes the following major categories of ecosystem services. So, Millennium Ecosystem Assessment has given certain types of ecosystem services, or they are also called as biodiversity services. So the ecosystem services are the goods and services that we receive from nature, right? So the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment has given the 5 categories of ecosystem services. They are provisioning ecosystem services, supporting services, regulating services, preserving services, and cultural services. So what are provisioning services? Provisioning services are those to which we can assign a monetary value. That means these are the goods and services which have monetary value, which are exchanged for monetary gains, like food, fiber, timber, medicinal plants, fuel, etc. All these things have certain monetary value, and that's why they are considered as a provisioning services. Supporting services are the most fundamental services that we receive from nature, like soil formation, nutrient recycling, etc. Because without these services, other services won't be able to exist. Third is regulating services. So regulating services are such services which regulate the various components of ecosystem. For example, air. If there is increase in the concentration of pollution or pollutants in air, then there is a natural mechanism in the environment which will lead to cleaning up of that air. This is the regulating service that we receive from nature. Preserving services are such services which are the important services based upon which the important aspects of nature of or environment are preserved. And finally, it is cultural services. Cultural services are those which make sure that the intangible benefits of nature are also enjoyed by human beings, right? So the question is asking us about which one of the following is supporting services. So out of these 4, which are supporting service, or which is supporting service? First is, or option A is, production of food and water. So food and water have monetary importance. So it is provisioning service, not the supporting service. Control of climate and disease. Control or regulation. That means it is a regulating service, not the supporting service. Nutrient cycling and crop pollination. Yes, this service is a supporting service. Nutrient cycling and crop pollination are considered as supporting services. Last is maintenance of diversity. So, maintenance of diversity is a preserving service that we receive from nature, not the supporting service. And hence, for this particular question, correct answer is C. Nutrient cycling and crop pollination are the supporting services that we receive from biodiversity or ecosystem. Right? Now, next question. So, the next question is from 2013, and the question is, with reference to the food chains in ecosystems, which of the following kinds of organism are known as decomposer organisms or organism. So in nature, there are three types of organisms that are found. First is producers, second consumer, and third is decomposer. So producers are the organisms which can produce their own food, like plant species. Consumers depend on producers for their food, and decomposers are those organisms which derive their energy from dead or decaying matter of producers and consumers. Right? So the question is asking us about, out of these three, which are decomposers. First is virus. So in the era of COVID-19, we know that viruses are those organisms which are neither living nor non-living, and hence they cannot be a decomposer. Viruses are not a decomposer. Second is fungi. Yes, fungi are considered as decomposers because they receive their energy from decaying organic matter. And bacteria are also decomposers. And that's why answer for this question is 2 and 3, which is mentioned in option B. Right? So fungi and bacteria are considered as decomposers. Next question now. So these kind of explanations, like the food chain, types of food chain, we will discuss these things in our classroom program. Next question is, mycorrhizal biotechnology has been used in rehabilitating degraded sites because mycorrhiza enables the plants to first resist drought and increase absorptive area, second tolerate extreme pH value, third resist disease infestation. So before we discuss this question, let us check this particular diagram. So this is a diagram which gives us scenario without mycorrhizae and with mycorrhizae. So in the first picture you can see, or in the first half you can see, that roots are not in association with the fungus called as mycorrhizae. Roots are not in association with the fungus called as mycorrhizae. And as a result of this, the absorptive area of this particular root system is limited. Right? But in second case, roots are in association with the mycorrhizae fungus. And as a result of which, the absorptive area of this root system has increased. Right? So what happens with mycorrhizae? With mycorrhizae, which is a symbiotic association between plant and mycorrhizae fungus, it leads to increase in the absorptive area. And as a result of which, there are several benefits that are received by the plant species. Also, that fungus receives benefit because fungus is getting food from plants. Right? So it is considered as a symbiotic association. And you must be aware of the fact that more than 90% of the plants that are living on the surface of the earth are living in such kind of association with fungus. Right? So it is not uncommon. It is quite common in the nature. So first statement is whether it will help plant in resisting drought and increase absorptive area. Yes, as we have seen, it will help plant to resist drought and increase the absorptive area. Second, tolerate extreme pH value. Yes, this is also correct because the mycorrhizae will make sure that the pH value of the particular location is made moderate for that plant species to grow. And that's why second statement is also correct. Third is resist disease infestation. If nutrients are available, if water is available in sufficient amount, then that particular plant species will be healthy, and hence it will be able to resist any disease infestation. And that's why all these three are the benefits that are received by plants if they form a symbiotic association with the fungus, and that is the mycorrhizae fungus, right? So the correct answer for this question is D, 1, 2 and 3. Next question now. Next question is in the grasslands. So the question is about the grasslands ecosystem. In the grasslands, trees do not replace the grasses as a part of ecological succession because of which of the following, right? So we know grasses are a transitional zone between forest and desert. That means the availability of water in the grasslands is not as good as forest, and it is not as bad as desert locations. And that's why the availability of water is the determining factor for the producers in the grassland. And as water is available only in sufficient or moderate amount, the tree species are not able to grow in the grasslands, right? So the correct answer for this question is water limits and fire, right? So one of the important feature of grassland is that these grasslands are prone to fire. And this is because to make sure that any tree do not grow in grassland, because there is a scarcity of water, right? So the correct answer for this question is water limits and fire are the factors because of which trees won't be able to replace grasses in the grasslands during ecological succession, right? Next now. Next question is, which one of the following is the correct sequence of ecosystems in order of decreasing productivity? So there are 4 ecosystems that they have given, and we are supposed to find out the correct sequence of these ecosystems with respect to decreasing productivity. So what is productivity? Productivity is the rate of production of biomass, and this rate of production of biomass have to have certain conditions, or we can say that productivity needs certain conditions, and they are in the form of availability of water along with nutrients and sunlight. So if such conditions are available in a particular environment, then the productivity of that ecosystem is high. And mangroves are the locations where we have highest productivity, right? So mangroves are the locations where we have highest productivity. Then it is grasslands which have high productivity because of very nutritious soil present in the grassland, right? So second choice should be grassland. And out of lake and oceans, it is lakes which have high productivity than oceans. Why? Because lake ecosystem have the access of nutrients coming from land. But for oceans, such access of nutrients is only limited to the border zone, which is called as neritic zone of the ocean ecosystem. Similarly, the depth of lake is not very high, as a result of which the photic area in the lake ecosystem where availability of sunlight is there is larger. But for oceans, the photic area is smaller because of high depth of oceans. All these factors limit the productivity in the ocean ecosystem, and that's why oceans have lesser productivity compared to lake ecosystem. And hence, the correct order of decreasing productivity is mangroves, which have highest productivity amongst these four ecosystems, followed by grasslands, then lakes, and then oceans. Right? So the correct choice is C. Next question now. Next question is, with reference to food chains in ecosystems, consider the following statements. So we have discussed the first question, in which the food chain was food crop, then let's say frog, then snake, and then hawk. Right? So this is a food chain. So let us discuss the statements that are given in this question. First, a food chain illustrates the order in which a chain of organisms feed upon each other. Right? So food chain is the chain of organisms, as you can see in this particular food chain, wherein the frogs are eating food crop, snakes are eating frogs, and hawks are eating snakes. So first statement is correct statement. Second, food chains are found within the populations of a species. This statement is incorrect statement because food chains are found between the community of species. Right? So this is a food chain, and in this food chain there is a community of organism where four organisms or four species are there. First is of food crop, then frog, then snake, and then hawk. So it is not amongst the population, rather it is among the it is between the community of certain species, right? And that's why second statement is incorrect statement. Third statement now, a food chain illustrates the numbers of each organism which are eaten by other. So this is a food chain, and this food chain does not tell us about the number of organisms that are being eaten up by the next organism in the trophic level. And that's why third statement is also incorrect. So this kind of illustration is present, or it is given by the pyramid of numbers. It is not given by the food chain, but it is given by the pyramid of numbers. And hence even third statement is incorrect statement. Right? So the correct answer for this question is A, 1 only. Right? Next question now. Next is, consider the following organisms: Agaricus, nostoc, and Spirogyra. Which of them are used as biofertilizer or biofertilizers? So biofertilizers are those organisms which can be added to soil to increase the availability of nutrients in that particular soil. Out of these three, Agaricus is a common mushroom and it is not used as a biofertilizer. And that's why A first is incorrect. But nostoc and Spirogyra are considered as biofertilizers. And hence, correct answer for this question is C, 2 and 3 only. Spirogyra and nostoc are biofertilizers. Whenever they are added to soil, they increase the availability of nutrient in that soil. Right? Next question is, which one of the following terms describes not only the physical space occupied by an organism, but also the functional role? In the community of organism. So this question is about a term that is being used in ecology for the description of the physical space where a particular organism is found, as well as the functional role of that organism. And that term is ecological niche. Right? So it is ecological niche which explains the functional role as well as the physical space in which that particular organism is available. So correct answer for this question is B. Right? So that is about this session. In this session, we have discussed previous year questions from ecology section. In the next session also, we will resume or will continue our discussion of previous year questions from ecology section only. Till then, thank you for your time. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.
For more videos, subscribe to BE N by IAS and press the bell icon to never miss an update.